So I'm here at the south gate. Been looking at the maps a lot, and it's time to make some decisions, I think. One of them is that the ridge line is going to be a wall. Probably two of them. With an empty spot in between. If that was the case, why not just have it be a building? Do I run a building along that ridge? Maybe. And the building serves as a wall. You could then also walk on top of it. And you could have, I guess, I just can't make a simple idea. I just keep making it harder. I mean, I've just raised the cost a lot, because if we're going to do a you can walk on the top of it thing, well, then why wouldn't I put a roof on that? And on the other side of it, have buildings for security, and I basically secure that whole location. And then, I want to bulldoze a lower entry down there, and so that would fit into it too, and that would be a secured other entry, which people don't even know is related to here. I know that I want to do a road that goes down here, another entryway, but then I was thinking this gate will probably be left open most of the time. We could close it at night, and then this flat area right in here, I could put another gate over there, so one of them was an incoming gate, one of them was an outgoing gate. And then whatever things would exist in the future for relatively public access to things, an entry point way, I'm still confused. There's a big flat spot over there. And the thing is, there's certain types of businesses that I would be willing to run and have them not be part of the place. Now, I hesitate on that because I don't really want unknown people getting anywhere near me. But these folks wouldn't even have to know the rest of it exists. And I could evaluate them to see if I feel like allowing them into more spots. It could be that I have short-term. For example, let's say it's van life or campground spots. And I mean, because it's a nice big area here. And then if I like them, I move them to another spot for longer term. I like that. Up there, for example. If I have volunteers again, then they would volunteer down in this area until I know who they are. Because I've had all kinds of volunteers, and some of them I never want to see again. And others I think would be amazing to live with and hang out with for the rest of my life. So I think that's a pretty obvious decision, actually. The ridge building right there that could then be expanded into others. There's a ravine on the other side of it, and so buildings could cross that ravine. And I have plans for how a road could be dug through this ravine here. And that gives me a huge amount of space down here. That should be terraced, and really I could develop it as its own community. And it would also be where, somebody could rent for a shorter time, or I don't know. I don't want to be in the rental business. I don't really ever want a public presence. So I'm confused. I mean, I realize that's where the money's at, but, you know, money can get figured out various ways. Would I ever can I ever imagine somebody coming up here for the day? Yeah, I guess I could, and this could actually be the exhibition point for a lot of technologies that we would like to promote. So I could have a chicken brooder here, and we could be representatives of the solar evacuated tube solar hot water heaters. That's not hard to do. I think what they do now is there's just very few producers, and then people slap their own brand on it. That's what appears to be the case to me. We could have, you know, power packs available, basically a survival store. We could sell tents. We could sell glamping tents. We could sell individual tents. We could sell all the technologies that we've either invented or that we promote. I don't know if we could do that as a non-profit. God damn it, sorry. Not very sorry. I don't give a shit. I give a snot. I got like hairs in my nose. Ouch. God damn it. I need a spa. Oh, that's another thing is I could have a sauna here. A sauna good enough that people could actually use it. And we could say, hey, this is a solar sauna. Build one wherever you're at to reduce your costs. And I could offer even a 24-hour. I don't really want anybody using this road at night, and I want all gates to get closed at night. And for this, not even a spot for an individual to pass through unless it's a person or security location. But I don't imagine any reason a person should be out on foot after night. And there should be one place to come in at night if you're an approved person with a vehicle. And somebody should have to open that up for you, and you might even have to pay a tax for having been out at night and having to staff that position to really discourage it. I really don't like people traveling at night like that, because even in the daytime, we're going to have like we can make a list, a very short list of businesses that we would have out here, leaving space for others, because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we're kind of far from everything. And so would we, for example, want a tire fixing spot? Yeah, we would. Tires could break at any time. I've busted tires 5 times in my first weeks here. My first 5 weeks, I blew tires 5 times. Not just leaking, but unrepairably broken. That's because the road was way shittier then, and I had shitty normal tires. After that, every time I bought a tire, I've always said, give me the hardest core tire you got. But then do we stock tires? You know, somebody doesn't have a spare. And what if their tire's not fixable? God. And I'm getting into all kinds of business things. I mean, do I run a hotel that somebody could stay in? Maybe. But why do I want to do that? I guess my point is that this particular area could get blocked off a huge amount so that it is secure from the other areas. That's what I need to do. And what is that short list of businesses? I mean, I could have a 24/7 place to poo, a composting toilet that also promotes composting toilets, and it says don't dump your garbage in here. Of course, if people do, it's not going to ruin the toilet. This lock is not locked. It's supposed to be locked. I could dig this down quite a bit. I've got, agaves in here and some other plants I like. So I hesitate to want to screw that up by digging in. No, that's not the right key. How come I don't have the same locking everywhere? That's not the right key either. That's the right key. Maybe. One thing I could do is not know what I'm going to do, which is the easiest thing to do. Of course, I can try and figure it out. That's what I'm trying to do, but if I just, like, would I put a wall right here? Well, I suppose so. It's a fairly wide road. Would I put the wall in a little bit? Well, yeah, I probably would, because there's already a stone wall there that I don't want to fuck with, because there's some other people that would piss off. They're not bad people. They're wonderful people, actually. But I already pissed them off once. So I'd rather not do it again. They were really nice about it. I moved some rocks from a wall down there, and I actually was dumb because I asked permission. I went to them and I said, "Hey, I'm going to move some rocks up there, just so I'd let you know, even though it's not your land." But they feel ownership over it because their ancestors put this wall there. And so they showed up with like 20 or 30 guys out here at the gate, and we were moving rocks with my van. And they said, "Hey, you can't move those rocks. We put those there back in 1920 whatever, 30 whatever." And I was like, "Oh," and I know when I'm outnumbered and out whatevered. And so I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I did not know that." And I said, "Let's put these rocks back. Okay, guys, let's get the rocks and put it back." We hadn't moved that many yet. They're big rocks. They take multiple people to pick them up. It's kind of hard work anyway. And then they were like, "Oh, well, no, just leave the rocks that you've taken where they are, and don't take any more off this wall." And I said, "Okay, that's fine." And then they broke out the booze, and we all had shots and stuff. So they're really nice guys, actually. There also used to be a water pipe that went through here, and I never really liked that for two reasons. One, it's not mine. I don't like stuff that isn't mine on my property. Two, it was always tempting to tap into it. I would be tempted every year. As water. And if I had water, then I could, plant some more stuff. But it's like a drug. I want to run this place only on rain capture. That is fundamental to the principles of this project. But that's gone now. They came with paperwork, and I glanced over it. There was like 6 people wearing white government coats to say that they're official. Maybe that's not true. I might have made that part up. You can't trust your own mind. If you do, you're confused. I think a lot of shit in here could be changed. Like, this is just a barbed wire fence here. This is open right there. I think I could actually make right here more space that's outside the fence. Why would I do that? Someone could abuse it. I think I should put a building right here that controls this fence. I could put a building on the other side of the fence. It does go down there, and I have to come out here. I didn't bring my map. That's all right. I know what happens down there. It's a big slopey area, and I want to run bulldozer across it as contours. I don't want to do that in any case. And it's entirely possible that then that could become a mix of interconnected buildings, all of which are pretty secure, and then also build potentially buildings along this road and leave spots for future gates. How fucked up is that? Not very. I like the idea of very few public entries, though. I don't like it. I think buildings a ways off the road see, I mean, and this was the last place I wanted to develop. The reason I'm thinking about it is because I do want to put in some stuff that isn't in the interior. Here's a pretty dog. Hi, pretty dog. You pretty doggy? Yeah. And this goes all the way up there. The road out here sucks. What's your problem? What's your problem? Why are you excited? Are you bored? Are you bored? Did you fall down? Oh, I think I forgot to open up the food thing. Yeah, they haven't been fed this morning, and they're very used to being fed in the morning. I've got a really cool hill up here, and I had thought about cutting down the trees up there to make a view. I don't want to do that. I think I'd rather, and this gets into really more interesting ideas. How the fuck do you get rid of nose hairs? I just yank them out. Hey, will you guys fuck off? Making this very important, extremely boring video. This might be where I put in some smaller buildings, but I don't like small buildings. And it's not that big an area. It's really hard for me to bulldoze places because I like what's here too much. If I run a different gate down to there, essentially will you guys fuck off? Go play somewhere else. I wonder if I had kids, if I would talk to them like that. I don't think I would. That's not a nice way to talk to kids. But these are dogs. They don't understand what I'm actually saying. I still shouldn't probably talk that way, maybe. I mean, there's a question of inside and outside. And would I want any outside locations? Yes, is the answer. No is the answer. And then the other question is, could a road go on this side of this hill up there, and it'd be a private road, and then put a wall in there? That's not a bad idea because it would get used. based on what I'm going to do above this hill, because the south side continues way up there. And then that would be semi-private. This triangle in here, this is what I'm picturing. This triangle right in here would be a more public area. And then I would have one 2-lane road that goes at this point, right up here, to more private. Or up there. There is value in having a big area that's semi-private, semi-public. And I guess that would be this whole area. That gives me a lot of area to play with. And I still get to decide how private or public I want that. I could make it so dogs can't get through that fence right there. I could just have some lower parts welded on. I didn't do my fence in a way that dogs can't get through. That was dumb. I like that this road is at an angle, and then in here is more private. And so I would actually probably put a more visual barrier along it. Probably hedgerows. I like the idea. Also, I have this idea of potentially getting deliveries, and this would be a delivery point. So, I could actually have a road that goes this way, and then deliveries can happen to a building, where then that material is moved downhill to another floor of the building, so that there's essentially a storage house there. That would make some sense. And then that can get loaded onto vehicles to get distributed elsewhere. Or, if I push this public area way over to there, and I have different levels of publicness. But if deliveries could happen over there, there's already a gully. And so I could actually have a road that goes over there. What's the difference? A little bit of distance. I like that better though. And these ideas are not mutually exclusive. Very confused. I rather like the idea of separating these two. So I wall this out from that gate all the way over to there on slope, and I put a building there with plans to expand it. See right there, the costs are immense. I mean, that's a big area, but it'd be really cool. Okay, so, and it would be dug in the slope. It's southeast facing, which is perfect. Actually, it's south facing. So it's going to get shit ton of light. And would have a shady side and a sunny side to complement each other. Starting to rain a little bit. And then perhaps another building in here, also dug into slope. East facing mostly. Slightly to the south. No, whatever, it could be done anyway. And up against that hill. And so the top floor of it would actually have access to that upper level. Oh look, my quince are coming out. This is grafted onto a hawthorn, a quince tree. Here's a baby quince. Unfortunately, this will get eaten by a squirrel, which is very sad. I have too many squirrels. I don't need to kill them. Doesn't sound very nice, does it? That would actually be not a bad idea. That would automatically fence in a huge courtyard area. I mean, it's a big area, but it's better than a small area. And it would have porch all the way around it. It would connect up so the building goes from the gate over there along the road up to the hill, cuts across to this road, which needs to be made bigger and improved. It would have a road-like walkway. Well, there'd be porches all along it, but it would actually have a drivable road, which would not be the normal road people would use, but it'd be handy for deliveries, although ideally deliveries would happen from above. I like objects to move down through the town. And then at this point, I'm liking this more and more. There used to be a double road here, now there's just one. This is not where that road is, it's up here. This becomes a 2-lane road right here. And it could split off and have a roundabout right here. There's a spot I could go up there to there, over to there. And then I only have one spot of it that really has to be 2-lane. And that could be done because I want to dig it into the hill. This is a road, believe it or not. Look at how big this oak tree is, right in the middle of the fucking road. And then it grazes the top of that ridge building. And that makes an enormous area to have workshops and all kinds of stuff. The other side of the building, well, some parts of it wouldn't be a problem for privacy for the rest of it. And who stays where would be separated. You know, people running things versus people not, people who are invited into other spaces or not. This would not look like much of an entry. And that protects a huge amount of space over there for other uses. And I can always divide it further by putting internal buildings in there, like along those contour roads. And so it can still have options for subdividing it. This is a huge fucking amount of building, though. I mean, I'm imagining this as a 3-story building. Now this ridge already has a bunch of pine trees on it, which is difficult. And I really like those pine trees for wind protection. It's possible that I could run that building on this side of the ridge, digging it into the ridge, and then having the upper part of it be the other side. That would then be private spots that relate to stuff over there. I don't know if I like that very much. The problem also is I don't want to cut down these pine trees. I mean, it's not like I have a shortage of trees. There are baby trees all over in here. All this got cut down for the pine beetle plague. All of it, like except for some scraggly ones. But we beat it. And I had the idea of cutting down these other pine trees in here. They do block view, but view's not everything. Where did that road go? And wouldn't it make more sense to, I mean, a lot of this has to do with slope, right? Because I've got this this road here that just winds down the middle. I don't really want to feel like locked into that road. I don't like more gates. I do want to put a gate down there. There's reasons for that. Or buy the neighbor's land, and that would serve as that gate. That would be okay too. It would actually make more sense. But there's a spot down here I could put a lake, which would be awesome. Really cool. I got a bunch of old wood down here. I should probably burn that. It'd be better to harvest it. But I can see this as easily like, it's so tempting to do touristic things. Terracing it as much as possible makes so much sense. But there isn't really a way to terrace it fully without pretty much killing all the trees. You know? Sure, some of them you could terrace around or fit them into a terrace. But there's fundamentally conflict here with land use. This is a natural, more flatter spot. I know where we're at on the map. And we used to kind of have a road that went that way. So what would happen if I just killed down all of those pine trees? I like them as a windbreak. I don't know. This is too hard to think about. There's nice ground right here. And I don't have money to do this anyway. But in theory, I have to solve the money problem anyway. So let's assume that there is a lot of money available to build. But building out here is a security risk. It attracts attention. I don't want to do that. I need to build fencing in any case. Wouldn't I rather develop an entirely private location? I mean, I only mentioned a few ideas that involve the public. I mean, like an exhibition space would be pretty great. You know, a fully ecological house with a restaurant. So just a commercial and residential blob to show an example of what could be done, and not opening up to the public, but allowing government officials and land developers to come in and say, hey, you could do a whole town just like this. That's a pretty cool idea. And that would, would gather some attention. Could put it right fucking here. Digging into slope, there's slope here. So I show people why we would dig into slope and how we handle water flow above it. And it could be its own spot entirely. And that is a reason to have its own separate gate too. But the plan should then be for full development of the whole area. I mean, I think this could become, again, obviously I'm confused because I'm saying opposite things. But, I mean, what if I wanted to create an entire hotel complex? Can I run that via a nonprofit? I don't think a nonprofit can charge for housing. Sounds like a hotel to me. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. I could run it as a business. It's fine. It's a known model. In that case, view would be awfully goddamn nice, wouldn't it? And I could actually figure out somewhere, I mean, like right in here, I would barely have to cut down any trees to get a view to over there. And if I own this land below it, I would end up cutting some trees there, which would open up some more view. It's a view of the valley down there. It's a nice view. But this also is view. I mean, well, it would be, there's just a lot of trees here. But and if it had a good enough wall, and if each building was secure, then I don't think I would have too many security problems. I mean, I could measure how many acres this is, but it's a lot. Let's just assume that hill up there is the blocking point, that this down here. I mean, this is a whole bunch of land I have no plan for. And I was going to ignore it forever. But it's my most commercially valuable piece of land. And I could decide not to offer anything to day visitors unless they were a special case and they were coming to see solutions and stuff, but have like longer term programs because I want to reduce traffic heavily. Parking could be reduced by having paid parking in town and a shuttle. And then, and I would have to have some parking. Across the road there's land that's with a land trust. And I could talk to them about renting that from them or buying it, which is questionable since the legal status of the land trust doesn't allow for that to be convenient, really. You know, I guess I'm not an experienced land developer. I guess one method I could use. And if you're a land developer, I need advice. In fact, I could ask AI and look it up, and somebody else has written about this, like how to do land planning on a piece of property. There are details about exactly where the slope is that I care a lot about, because I want to have ponds and stuff, and I want to have overflow for gray water and only use good soaps. What if I built a fucking hotel? Anyway, so as far as thinking about it, one idea is just to decide on one element, a big one, and then figure out how that would affect everything else, and then decide to put it somewhere else, and how would that affect everything else. And also, how can I divide it up so that you could have different workshops that were completely separate? Because some people want their group to control an entire area and be private. And that's a good idea. And I could make them with different cultural styles. You know, I could have one be really modern, one be really rustic. Areas that during part of the year, I could say it's closed and we use it as a set. This is really pretty in here. This is not so pretty. This is leftover wood from a tree that was killed for the pine beetle plague. And it should all get chopped up into firewood. No matter how I think about it, something is going to have to get bulldozed. And the only smart way to bulldoze roads is on contour, and then connecting those together. And I could have them built all on contour, and then decide how those connect up after that. That could be done. And I can run them all the way around the ridge, and that gets a little tricky because there's trees in the way. But then I could actually some view would end up happening over there. I gotta walk over there. I could decide like to leave the biggest trees, but see, that's dangerous too, because the thing I hate about pine trees is they fall the fuck over. And I've got so many oaks growing in here and so many black cherries. I mean, there's black cherry right there. There's black cherry right there. I don't know what the fuck that is. And then there's oaks all over the place. The other thing is I would probably cut down or top off the white oaks, because those only have, here's that road. Because those only have leaves part of the year. The leaves fall off. And then they don't provide any shade exactly at the time of year when you would want shade the most. And so I already know that I'm willing to murder the white oaks. In this case, by topping them, I wouldn't be killing them, but I would be reducing their root level. And that would be handy. The amount of roots, and that would allow other things around them to grow more. And I still might cut that down later. This is hard to walk in here. All right, let's try and look at this as if I've never seen it. Okay, it's a lot of pines in there. I already know I have to bulldoze down at the bottom of this. I could bulldoze the end of this ridge a lot. And I've talked in other videos about the difference between bulldozing an end of a ridge and filling in a gully or putting a building in a gully. And this would be a spot where water flow is not a problem. Road access would be awesome. It would be absolutely excellent. It's definitely its own space, separate from everything else. That is tempting. Of course, that as a building would block view from above it, but cutting down the trees would also open up view from above it. And I could have the top floor of that building have really nice view all the time. Like have the top floor be shared. Like have it be coffee shop, restaurant stuff. And again, I have this massive problem with the public. It could be a really expensive restaurant. That's one way to reduce the number of customers. What am I trying to do? Make a restaurant nobody wants to go to? That sounds bright. This is a pretty big ridge here. It's pretty wide. There was some art shit we put down here at one point. People used stones and stuff in the ground and made a cool pattern. We could dig that back up and see if we like it. And it's big enough in an area that people would feel like, like they have a lot of space, like they were in nature. I mean, for me, this is near the road, so I think this is not very nature, but it is, by city people standards, very nature-oriented. And then I think, well, I can include the ravine over there, because that's also a nice cool spot down in there, and I could dig into it and make other spots and And do I connect a road over to there? I mean, do I dig through this? This is really not very ridgy. It's not very steep here. It's steep on one side, not the other. But that's okay. I could still dig into it, like right here. Okay, this is already a spot we thought would make a good road. And out to even the top of this, it's flat. And so I would dig in here to the level I want to get to down there, where somewhere in there, and it's hard for me to tell because I don't have my GPS or my map, but somewhere over in there is a place I want to put another building. Now that makes more sense to me because I'm willing to build that building. It's a much more private spot, and people can still walk around in here and I can slowly develop it. And so by accepting that that is going to be part of this allows me to start building over there right away in a private location. And then once I have income and know what I'm doing and am willing to be more public, then I can still build out here. So that's a way for me to avoid the problem for now, still getting what I want. And I have to make a list of everything I would want out here. I mean, I want examples of every kind of beehive in a spot where bees don't sting people. So, you can go up behind the bees and look at the beehives. And I want a building where, there's a window and you can see the bees working in there and stuff. Maybe more than one of those, because I don't know what happens with those. And they have those like flow hives where you do a crank or something. I don't know if these work. It doesn't matter. I could have one example of every beehive. That's not that expensive to do. And then I would have examples of bee extractors and honey extractors and have examples of different types of bees that don't fight each other, hopefully. Also have spots near it for, how to make native bee housing, because domesticated bees are what we focus on, but like around here, I've got lots of kinds of native bees, and those are cool. And they build their own hives and stuff, some kind of paper wasp, and I've never been stung by one, so it's not like it's a problem. I mean, I've had those on the sides of houses before. Why am I walking in a place that's hard to walk? Everywhere it's fucking hard to walk around here. And this is the easier time of the year. Okay, so to-do items are clean it up, bury any stumps that exist so that they rot, or, get some chairs and dig a quick spot around it and just burn it. That'd be fine on a night like this. And then I guess put in trails. And I hate putting in trails because they always grow over. I might as well just bulldoze the roads, because the roads grow over into trails anyway. So over some years, and then that's it. Okay, so I need to figure out where I would do contour roads. That's it. That is the answer, and my map can help me with that. I know where I want to get to on the other side. And so I think that would be worth it. And even if I don't think I'm going to build here right away, that tells me where I can plant trees or not. It allows me to start designing these interconnected buildings. And this could end up being a fairly high population area. And I feel less protective of it. And somebody else could manage it. And it already has cool trees in it, so I could start, sculpting those and deciding what I want here, and getting rid of the grass, like this grass I don't like, and getting rid of the other plants that I think are stupid, and then starting to come up with sitting spots and other cool spots to be. I could plant a pretty serious zone of deathly spiky plants along the edge over there, while leaving a spot for a very tall stone wall. This is my best road frontage here. So if I was going to assume that this road will eventually get used, then I would set a row of buildings back enough so that there was parking available and space out there, and just decide, okay, we're going to build a line of buildings all the way down that whole thing, and not do it. Two rooms wide, maybe three. 3 rooms wide is way better than 2. I like that a lot. All I have to do is put it on paper for now. I don't have to build it. And then this side is harder to know. This grove of trees is not sacred. They're not really big trees. And I can leave them there until they are, and then harvest them. I think getting that lower road pushed through would tell me a lot. So where is this bulldozer idea set in the terms of priorities? Really low. Because I know I'm not going to do anything with it right now. And it's going to cost a fuck ton to do it. Not a huge fuck ton, but moderately large fuck ton. Did I get to somewhere easier to walk? Yes, I did. It's still annoying to walk in here. Fucking pokey sticks. Alright, so this is not the priority spot. I would say the road on the north side of that hill, that's a priority. That opens me up to a whole nother area that I am willing to develop. And for now, this becomes a thought experiment to think about what I could be doing. Yeah. Doing nothing. Permaculture principle 0. Do nothing. Good fucking plan. Except collect all this firewood and use it before it rots. And I could come out here and start cutting off the lower branches of some of these trees that, and I could start opening up spots for like even van camping. This would be a great spot. That's with no work on my part, I could create van camping locations, creating an immediate income. Of course, that necessitates a composting toilet, a comfort station. So already I'm going to get involved with building something. So I could build that back in there and have it be part of something which will later be built around it. Be another cool reason to do that lower entry, because then I could put it far, far, far from everything. I could barbed wire fence this with concrete posts. Concrete posts are reusable, and that would make a delineation of where you go and don't go. I do have a little house down there. I could include that as part of it. I mean, it's already done. And so, as a social spot, fuck, I can't make a decision. No, I already made a decision. The only thing that matters for now is bulldozing that one road up there. I could recapture the former double road that used to exist. Again, though, that's not going to matter for right now. And then crossing the ravine better, that's top priority. So that's my two top priorities, is road connection to up there, and then flattening up there, and then doing the ravine. I wonder how much people pay for van camping spots, especially if they had solar and internet. I bet they'd pay something. And also I'd want to put up, well, I would want to build roofs that you can park next to so you can get out of your vehicle easier. But building things locks me in. I'd rather just get, like Costco carport structures and stick them next to it. All this shit in here has got to get cleared up. It's actually a really nice park area. A long time ago, again, because of the pine beetle plague, this was years and years and years ago. I had to cut down all the trees in here, but look, it's all growing back. And so this could be an amazing park in here, and it's far enough from the road that I could pretty easily increase privacy, and this would just be an amazing camping ground. This is where that other road goes. I need to clean up again. That would actually help, because you could connect up there, and I want a road that goes down there, and there's already a road that goes over there, so that'd be cool. And then this gully right here, I'm unsure what to do. I think it's already naturally wetter down here, and so I think I'm going to use it for bamboo reproduction and a lot of plants that I want to have. I was tempted to run a road through here to get to over there. I don't think I want to do that, because it's already a natural, really microclimate, better location, And so I'd rather garden the fuck out of it. And that means clearing out a lot of plants I think are stupid. Leaving a lot of stuff like the oaks as natural shade. And so just, yeah, I think that's it. Clear it out. Dig it in and fill it in with new dirt. Even break my rules and get some fertilizer, some cow shit and stuff, and really have this be a fully terraced garden area with trails on two sides and sitting spots so you can sit there and enjoy looking at the gardens, or maybe even have a little place for tools. Dig into the sides to have root cellars. You put stuff straight from the garden right into the root cellar. That's an option. And even tunnels out of it that go up into, because I want to put a building over there.